Good morning. I'm sorry I cannot be with you in person for the 1996 National Media Literacy Conference. I am delighted that so many men and women are helping advance our nation's discussion of media literacy and what it means. The media, as you know so well, have a powerful influence on our lives and especially on the development of our children. The media can shape young people's beliefs and aspirations, their sense of self and understanding of the world around them. All of us, parents, educators, community and religious leaders, business people and media professionals, have a responsibility to create an environment in which our children can grow and learn to the best of their God-given abilities. By employing our young people with a better understanding of the media, we can help them control their relationship with the vast array of media messages they receive in their everyday environments, from movies and television shows to newspaper advertising and video games. The President has worked hard to help parents with tools like the V-chip and a voluntary television rating system. He provided strong leadership in working for the FCC requirement that broadcasters show a minimum of 3 hours of quality educational children's programming each week. To counter the constant stream of messages that glorify dangerous behaviors like drug use and violence, the President has directed the Office of National Drug Control Policy to work with other federal agencies to examine young people's perception of risks from these behaviors. When children and young people are left to believe that substance abuse or violence is harmless, they are more likely to participate in these self-destructive activities. Through efforts like media literacy, we can teach them to think about and question what they see. I hope that your participation in this conference will help build momentum that will guarantee that all our young people have the knowledge and skills they need to navigate through a media-saturated society. I would like to congratulate the Center for Media Literacy and the other sponsoring organizations for holding this important conference. Please accept my best wishes for a successful event and my gratitude for the work you are doing to help children and parents understand the media better.
This is a picture of the American dream. This is a picture of what the dream once was. This is a picture of what the dream has become. At the center of primetime television has been the selling of the dream, and at the heart of the dream, the mythic American family. Once an outsider, the African American is now part of this family, part of the myth. Through television, if nowhere else, we are now watched and welcome in the majority of American homes. But what was the key to the households of primetime America? The key to our inclusion in the myth of the American dream?
To welcome our guest, Wally Bowen, founder and director of Citizens for Media Literacy. Welcome, Wally.
It's good to be here, Stan.
Wally, your organization has planted itself in a community and, as it says here, is making a critical connection linking media literacy and citizenship. How is it doing that, and what is Citizens for Media Literacy?
Well, we're founded in the summer of 1991, and we're working kind of in two realms. One in the K-5 realm. I'm going into the K-5 classroom. I have
That's pretty young.
It is, and I have a lot of experience, though. I have an 8-year-old son, and I've been working with him since he was born. So I've had some good direct experience in terms of trying things out and see what works with that age group. In fact, I named the workshop that I do in the K-5 classroom, Where Do Ninja Turtles Come From? Although I'm getting ready to change that to Where Do Power Rangers Come From?
Right.
But,
and probably next year it'll be something else.
Yeah. But the other realm we're working in is with citizens, and we're organizing, trying to organize our community, get information out, raise awareness about the structure, pulling back that curtain, the structure of our media system so that we can get a better handle on how we might approach and solve some of these problems and bring people into experiences of citizenship versus private experiences of consumerism.
It is now 9 minutes after the hour. I was stunned by a figure that I read in research given me. The average child spends about 1,100 hours in school and nearly 1,500 hours watching television. How can you turn your child's TV time into learning time? Joining me for our special series, Back to School 96, How to Give Your Kids the Edge, is once again Joel Siegel and Renee Hobbs, Professor of Communication at Babson College. And it's good to have both of you with us. Renee, you have an idea that you can teach kids smart viewing.
Absolutely. It's called media literacy, and it's the idea of asking questions about what you watch, see, and read. It's a skill that's almost a new back-to-basic skill. If you think about it, we live in a world where for the rest of our lives we're going to be information consumers and entertainment consumers. We need to know how to ask questions about what we're receiving from the media, what we're not seeing, how the media represents the world, and kids need to acquire those skills before they get all the bad habits that we grown-ups have learned about watching TV in a passive way.
Give me some practical examples. You have kids that are how old?
7 and 8.
Okay, so you're watching television with them?
Absolutely.
All right, what do you do when you're watching TV with them?
Well, one of the most important things to do when you watch with kids is to provide opportunities for conversation. One of the things we do in our family is we use the remote and we use the mute to provide a space to talk, because television just keeps going and going and going. You need actually time to think about what you're seeing. So we use the remote, turn off the sound for a little bit, and then we ask questions. What do you think about that character? What do you like about that character? What do you dislike about that character? How do you feel about that scene that you just saw? Those basic questions provide opportunities for me as a parent to interpret what is happening on the screen. Because one thing we know from the research is that kids interpret television very differently than adults do.
My poster's on the defenses against fallout. And if you're caught outside during a nuclear explosion, decontamination may be necessary. You may have to burn or bury all your clothes and food, and afterwards you should wash thoroughly.
John, let me interrupt you here just a moment. I have some film here that I think will describe what might happen.
Good.
And we'll describe a little about the atom. So, Joey, why don't you catch the lights and we'll try it. Okay?
Good.
Dee-dum-dum, dee-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He'd duck and cover, duck and cover.
Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. Paul and Patty know this. No matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Here's Tony going to his Cub Scout meeting. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. Duck and cover. Atta boy, Tony. That flash means act fast.
Hi there. My name's Trevor Sands. I'm a filmmaker. It's my job to use the magic of media to take you to new and exciting worlds, open your imagination, and communicate ideas through the images I create. Media is a powerful thing, and it surrounds you. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, every day the media is trying to tell you something, trying to sell you something. And the thing is, sometimes you might not even be aware of some of the messages you're receiving. Really. And that can have a profound effect on some of the choices you might be making in your life right now, like with tobacco and alcohol. That's what this video is all about. So, come with me, and together we'll explore that fine line between fact and fiction.
One of the big flips that's taking place in our time is the changeover from the eye to the ear. And most of us, having grown up in a visual world, are now suddenly confronted with the problems of living in an acoustic world, which is, in effect, a world of simultaneous information.
Peter, I am looking directly west from our hotel now, and throughout the entire sky there are flashes of light. Something is definitely underway here. Something is going on.
Gary Shepard, do you hear us in Baghdad? Gary Shepard, can you hear us?
The planet is Arrakis, also known as Dune.
CBS Sports coverage is sponsored by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Television captures children's attention. It's entertaining, it's readily available, and it's free. But we're paying a high price when our children are the captive audience for ideas that promote violence and hatred and reinforce alienating stereotypes.
We think that it's important that everyone who cares about children understand that anything they spend so much time with is educating them to what it says. I think the problem is that there's really a very vicious message about how people should relate to each other out there. And that if you watch the stuff in the afternoon after school, you can't tell one program from another. And the children who sit in front of it are going to get this message that the evil forces are going to take over the world. When they grow up, they're going to vote for people who are going to protect us from those evil forces.
War starts in the minds of men and women. We have to form an image of the enemy before we ever go to war with him. We at the Center for Psychological Studies in the Nuclear Age have been interested in enemy images and how they develop in children for quite a few years. We have been conducting studies with children in different countries to find out how children first come to think and feel about their national enemies. We discovered that, in particular, American children mentioned children's cartoon shows as a source of the enemy images they identified for us. We would like to initiate a discussion with parents, teachers, and the media industry about the kinds of messages children should receive while watching children's cartoon shows and children's television in general.
We're concerned about children's television because millions of American children get their images of the enemy from cartoons like He-Man, She-Ra, G.I. Joe, Rambo, the GoBots, Voltron, Transformers, the Defenders of the Earth. These cartoons go way beyond the good guys against the bad guys. These bad guys don't wear black hats. They are physically repulsive, taking the dehumanized form of menacing animals, death figures, and faceless beings.
Bad for you, kid.
When he is portrayed as a person, the enemy fits the stereotype of the evil foreigner. His appearance is alarming. His voice and accent are threatening.
Don't worry, the tunnel is filled with traps. No one has survived there.
These cartoon images foster prejudices about other nationalities that can last a lifetime. They promote fear and hostility. These images resemble actual war photographs, and like war posters, they encourage aggression and alienation. The programs portray the enemy as evil through and through.
I am mad.
Texas Governor Ann Richards addressing the Democratic Party convention in New York.
And as far as this White House is concerned, honey, you can turn out the lights. The party's over.
Richards' charisma had earned her a magazine cover alive with her trademark feistiness, except it wasn't Richards, just her head electronically placed on a model's body. In journalism circles, the photograph intensified an already heated debate.
On finding out that it's not Ann Richards on a motorcycle, that it's a cropped head, it doesn't bother me. The point of that was not to show that Ann Richards is a motorcycle rider, but that Ann Richards is not your typical gray-haired 65-year-old woman governor, I think. So what?
That photograph ended up on the AP wire a year ago after the election, when she lost the election. The day after the election, AP ran it as a photograph. AP had to pull real quick once they came in and realized that somebody had put this thing out as a real photograph and grab it back. These things enter into our society as being documents, and they're not documents.
The questions raised by the fake Ann Richards picture reflect a journalistic tug-of-war between a photograph's aesthetic and its news value. Right in the middle is a computer technology that transforms how the media handles images and makes us ask, can we trust the pictures we see? Take this picture of me, for instance. Looks real because that's really Ireland, and that's really me with friends, but we were never in Ireland together. That's me with my son, and me with my boss. Now another person's been scanned in, and I'm no longer looking at my son. Now there's no doubt that Bruce Willis isn't pregnant. But what about these images? Ann Richards again. But she and her rival were in no mood to do the Texas two-step that year. And this ad from TV, Louis and Elton might have had fun, but it never happened. And Bill Gates certainly can afford to relax, but not with that body. It's not his. All these images have two things in common. They were computer generated, and they're all fakes.
Now watch the following presentation of the advert by Carey Bazalgette. View it a segment at a time and follow the notes in the workbook.
This is the sequence that introduces 3 of the 4 characters in this advertisement. There are 4 shots, this one, which establishes the home setting, and then 3 shots in conventional shot, reverse, shot order, which establish the father-daughter relationship. What I notice most are the lighting and music. It looks as though it's shot on film, with a yellow light positioned to outline each figure. This gives a mellow feel to the scene, while that lavish orchestral music is very emotional. This is a scene designed to play on my feelings about families, about children, about fathers, and about relationships. But it also has things to say, if only by omission, about class and ethnicity. It seems to be showing the ideal family as white and middle class. Normally, you very quickly identify what type of text you're watching, but so far it's hard to tell whether this is a film or an advertisement.
There's a whole lot going on tonight. Dogs, 19, all to themselves.
So, tonight is kind of special.
And it wouldn't be Valentine's Day without hunters. I'd like to propose a toast.
Hold on, darling. We're losing someone very important. Bob, what are you doing?
Me?
Yes, you, Bob. My ruggedly handsome husband is trying to propose a toast, and I would appreciate it if you would please show interest and let him finish.
I don't believe this. You can't be talking to me.
Of course I'm talking to you, Bob. Who do you think I'm talking to? My industry spends billions of dollars a year so that I can bring a little light and joy into people's drab little living rooms. And while I'm there, I show them how hip and sexy and attractive they can be if they drink hunters like we do. Right, darling? So pay attention, Bob.
Tonight is kind of special.
I usually don't pay much attention to beer commercials.
Right. And just who do you think is paying attention, Bob?
Well, I guess the people who drink.
Bob, you obviously have very little understanding of how the alcohol industry works. So I'm going to take a few moments out of my glamorous life to explain it to you.
Well, why should I care about how the alcohol industry works?
Why ask why?
Oh, brother.
Put that awful little thing down.
Okay, okay.
Now, we use all kinds of media, like television commercials, sports events, T-shirts, billboards, all to make people think that we are drinking all the time. While we're playing volleyball, while we're at the beach, hang gliding, mountain climbing, on holiday.
Anytime's the right time.
Makes you think we're doing it all the time, doesn't it?
I thought adults drank all the time anyway.
Is that what you thought, Bob? That's great. That's what you're supposed to think. The truth is that nearly a third of the adult population doesn't drink anything at all. Not a drop, Bob. Let me ask you this. Do the people you know drink all the time?
Well, not really. Now that I think about it, my mom doesn't drink, and my older brother doesn't drink either.
This is what we see every night on the local news. It can be exciting, dramatic, frightening, and sometimes even funny. But it's only a flash of what happens in the course of a day. So how does what we see on the news get there? Who decides and why? For this story, we take you to a station in Denver, Colorado, whose news department has gained national recognition and awards. KCNC-TV is considered one of the best local stations in the country. And by the way, this is where I work.
It needs a graphic, which has not been made yet.
Oh, really?
That needs
The morning begins as it does at most stations with a meeting. Here the news producers, assignment editors, and sometimes the news director meet to discuss the day's events. They choose stories, make assignments, and lay out in broad strokes the plan for the day. But as you will see, one of the characteristics of the news business is that it constantly changes.
In what is essentially about a 58-minute long newscast, the actual time there is for what would be called hard news is only 18 minutes. When you filter out all the commercial breaks, sports, weather, the open of the show, the anchors taking up time to tell you what's coming up after the next commercial break, there's about 18 minutes for hard news, which is not a lot of time. And that's one of the challenges as a show producer is, you know, especially on a day when there's a lot of stuff, is figuring out how am I going to fit all this news in.
Timing is critical in television news. So is the ability to know what makes a good news story.
Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Hello, we're on the air. Surprise us everywhere. Your wacky, nutty, funny friends are here. So cheer. We're Sharon, Lois, Bram.
That's me.
That's me.
I am. With Copycat.
And Ella, we're complete. A sweet Skinamarink-a-dink TV time. The only I Love You TV that you will find. What do you say for something fun to see? Skinamarink TV.
Hello. I'm Professor Got a science question?
We need to find out how to get TV smart.
Ah, that is a fascinating question. You get TV schmarts by turning on your schmarts when you turn on your TV.
Huh? Turning on your schmarts?
What does that mean?
You want an example? Here is TV schmart number 1. All TV is not the same.
Not the same, But it's all on the same screen.
Exactly, Cece. And that's why it's so hard to tell about all the different kinds of TV.
So, how do we figure it out?
I've got an idea. Think of your TV as being made of a bunch of red, green, and blue building blocks.
Red, green, and blue building blocks. What are they for?
Well, the red blocks are the part of TV that's make-believe, like comedies and adventure shows.
And space shows, like Lost from Space.
And mystery shows, like Inspector Gumshoe.
And cartoons. Don't forget cartoons.
That's right. Now, the green building blocks stand for the part of TV that's about real people and things that really happen.
You mean like news shows and sports programs?
Right, and documentaries about animals and other things.
Okay. But what about the blue blocks?
They stand for the commercials on TV. You know about those. They can be selling just about anything. Toys or food or even other TV shows.
Okay. I get it. TV is made up of 3 kinds of building blocks.
And being able to tell what kind of block you're watching, that's using your TV smarts.
Well, that's one way. Want to find out some more?
Oh, sure.
Okay, everybody. Are we ready?
Ready!
At this elementary school in Billerica, Massachusetts, students are learning the basics of a new literacy.
Let's listen to this group, and you be thinking in your head as we go around and look at their pictures, did I think that? Was that the image? Was that the message I got? Okay, Greg, I'll hold it and you read what people thought about this picture.
I see like a redemption center or a wasteland that people just throw their trash or something. Okay. And this picture makes me feel kind of sad because they just throw away stuff and don't even think about recycling or something.
Each person sees a different message and interprets a picture differently by their experiences and their background and their knowledge.
I see a recycling plant where they're recycling the barrels, and it makes me feel happy because they're recycling.
Pictures can definitely enhance children's interest in writing. It sparks their imagination and gives them great ideas to draw on and to write about, and children love to write.
So as you're filling in the various categories as you go along, start with the name of the product.
At the middle school level, media education appears in many forms. Here, students learn to think critically about advertising.
All right, we want you to list factual content, target audience. If you think there's a very specific, identifiable target audience, bait and hook. You can use a variety of things here. Magic words, okay? The words that tell you really nothing, but they sound terrific in an advertisement. And finally, disclaimers. Listen carefully for disclaimers.
Well, us two are going to be the only ones in the shot, and then the last shot's just going to be...
But media literacy is more than learning how to analyze messages, it's learning how to create them as well. At Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School, students are doing just that.
How long is this thing going to be anyway? It's 30 seconds. I think making a media message is a good way of expressing ideas, because you can really put in how you feel about how it should be shown.
Look at my mom run away.
Some people would say media education is radical. It depends, of course, on what you mean by radical. If you believe that education is not only about making a living, but about making a life and making an intelligent life, then media literacy is radical in the best, most constructive sense of the word.
We've seen how important media literacy is for our students. in helping them master the skills they need to navigate in a complex, media-saturated environment. But they can't do it alone. The future of this new vision of literacy is in the minds of the teachers who reach our students each day.